Holy life, death, and taxes. If there's anything more sure of than those three things, it's NA absolutely crumbling at Worlds. And this is Flight Check, Season 2, Episode 31. What's more guaranteed than NA going absolutely dead last at Worlds? It's your boys coming through for another show where we get to cry over international performances from our North American representatives. As always, I am Sandy Toes with my co-hosts Nox War to my left and to my extra left, Curly Double Q. Fellas, a rough week 1 for NA 09. The 0-18 dream. We are halfway there. And, at this point, I actually have to say, I'm kind of rooting for it. It's like 0-18 from the North American reps would be so bad, it would be amazing. It would just be like the creme de la creme of how awful NA can be as a region to root for. And I really am starting to just not see it. Some of the games have been closer than others. I feel like EG actually could have won a couple. Cloud9 maybe won a couple games as well. 100 Thieves has looked absolutely horrific, but I kind of expected that anyway. But some surprises as well this Worlds. We'll talk about Rogue and their 3-0. Talk about Group A and the spice that is going on in that group. And of course, we will cover NA and the absolute fall from whatever grace the region had left. So we'll get into it. Nox, let's hear from you first. Reflections on week 1 of groups. To be fair, not over yet. Flying Oysters and...
It's over for NA.
Yeah, Flying Oysters and Gen G right now, and I believe DRX and Gigabyte Marines after that. However, it is over for NA, so we are coming in at the perfect time to start diagnosing where everything has gone wrong. So talk to me. Give me your thoughts.
I think part of what my biggest takeaway is that teams are kind of going back to the same issue that North America's always had. And I'm specifically referring to like Season 5, Season 6, Season 7. And for those who weren't around back then, basically there was a huge stigma that all North America was doing was they were copying Korea and their play styles. They didn't have their own, and they would just kind of do their own thing. And the one time North America did super well was that 2016 CLG, where Afromu was playing his own supports and they were playing their own style, and they made it all the way to finals before T1 finally figured out that style and still beat them playing their own style, right? So I think that's kind of what's happening here, is that 100 Thieves and Cloud9 basically are trying to conform to meta. You see Zven wanting to play engage supports, and I think really it's just, why are you guys just not playing your own thing? Like, I get that the stuff that you were playing was nerfed, but clearly you're not good enough on the stuff that's meta right now. So just play your own style, do your own thing. Teams are going to have to adapt to playing against that particular thing, which, while it's not as necessarily good as what they're playing, if they're not prepped for it, that's how you win games. Like, the meta doesn't define how you win. It's define what's technically the best. So, I don't know. I think coming into week 2, I know some people, and there's like a dark part of me that does kind of want to see it too. I know a lot of people want to see this 0-18 North American year happen, and I don't want to see it. It's gonna bite us in the butt so far down the line. Try and send teams to Worlds again in the future, and I don't want to have to put up with it. So I'd rather our teams not do that. I would like to see them get some wins on the board, and I want to see them doing it playing their style. If that means putting Zven on Lulu or Yuumi, put them on Lulu and Yuumi. EG, I actually think, has been kind of playing their own style, which is why I think out of all their North American teams, they've looked the best. But 100 Thieves as well is just continuing to conform to just whatever the meta is. And today, like against RNG, at least their early game looked a lot better than the other two games have looked. But even still, so I don't know. I want them to kind of play their own style, and I just don't think they're going to be able to do it.
Excellent thoughts, Curly. Before I talk to you, I will note, as you requested pre-show, I've changed the lighting in my room to blue to reflect the sadness and depression that we're all going through now. Salutes there. Curly, your thoughts on what's going wrong for NA, as we just saw 100 Thieves drop to to RNG. Now NA 0-9 at Worlds.
I think there's a lot going into it. One thing is I think we're seeing a reflection of something that I kind of had a silent fear about is I think we've had playoffs was the most competitive playoffs we ever had or at least since I've started watching, in the fact that there was only one series that went 3-0 and almost every other series was to game 5. And the thing that had me nervous about that is like, is it competitive, or is everyone really just kind of collectively playing like crap, and whoever plays less bad is the one that wins? And like, when you compare it to other regions that have like sometimes even more top heavy, or like just how the 4th seed from China looks so much better than any of us, it's kind of a confirmation of that fear. It's like the blow up during playoffs wasn't us all stepping up together. It's kind of us stepping down. And so I think we've also just, with the huge shift in meta between playoffs and Worlds, is, you know, we don't fit into this meta. So maybe like, even if we do play our own things, I think Nox does have a good point for that. Maybe we do play our own things, and maybe we might be able to take a game off or two, but it's looking very, very tough to try and fit the way that we as a region learned to play the game by the end of summer, and where the game is at right now. And I think another reason that EG is looking the best on this front is because they had that play-ins moment to be able to like learn about it, because all 3 other play-ins representatives are looking really, really good in their respective groups. RNG being the only other team to go 3-0 alongside Rogue. And then like Fnatic kind of stomping the group, even though it's a 3-way tie for first. So the play-ins buff is really, really good. And then DRX is also looking amazing, and will probably could be they wouldn't be 3-0, they'd be 2-1 at the end of the day, right?
They're 2-1.
So they're so like all of them collectively like looking really, really good, which I think goes back to what Inspired talked about in the post LCS interview after semifinals, is like play-ins, if you do get out of it and you are a major region, can actually be really, really good for you, because it gets you ready. You have that extra week on stage with the meta, because Scrim Bucks, as we've learned, are very unreliable. You got to see that stage experience, because that's when they're playing the game with intent. And so I just think we're behind on the meta, and even if we do get it, that's bad. And then I think another thing, at least, I can't speak for all of them, but I do think 100 Thieves has this curse where the bigger the stage, the harder the fall. Because once they got to Houston, couldn't tell they were there. Got to Chicago, barely made it to the finals, but then that day couldn't really tell they were there. Now they're in New York. It's like, and I want to be able to hype up this team, especially out of respect for 100 Talk Pod, want to be in this together with the other NA pods, but it's very hard for me to like not critique that when it's like, when they are in this bigger high pressure environment, they seem to crumble a bit. And I don't know if it's just a coincidence. I don't know if it's something that this roster collectively suffers from. I can't tell what that is, but that is definitely something I'm seeing, and it does make me a bit sad, because I want to be able to hype these teams up so much, and I'm huffing copium in the back of my brain. I'm trying to think maybe we can bounce back, go 9-0 week 2, and then upset the standings a lot and cause chaos. But I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, a lot of good thoughts there. I'll first, in response to what you just said, I feel like the only recourse for most of the NA teams now is to just cause chaos.
A spoiler.
And play spoiler. It's going to be a tough road ahead. Some interesting things that I've seen talked about in the community about Worlds so far is how so many teams did not come to NA ahead of time to scrim. Normally before Worlds, what you see is all the teams show up to Korea to boot camp for 2-3 weeks before going to Worlds. Because, in the most recent years, Worlds has been in Korea, it's been in China, it's been in Eastern Asia, right? So you just go to Korea, you do your boot camp there, all the teams are there. But it feels like there's been a lot of pocket metas that have been created, and NA felt like they had this early game meta, which is what we saw like the first 5 or 6 games out of NA, was have to win in the first 15 minutes or the game collapses. And it was only today that we finally started seeing teams doing something like playing through top lane. EG, they lost again today, right? But like that game legitimately looked okay, mainly because they were playing through Impact. You saw this as well, even with like G2's loss, playing through Broken Blade. So a lot of different reads on the meta, and you had a lot of teams who, I think you mentioned this, one of you mentioned this, got really good at the end of summer playing these enchanter supports and hyper carry ADCs. And that is no longer what's good. In fact, there's a lot of things that are good now. And so if you can't play mixed styles, then you're going to have a bad time. And what are we seeing? The MSI champions, RNG, who finished 4th in LPL this year, in summer, tearing through play-ins. They went 4-1, and now they are 3-0 in their group, looking incredibly strong. Why? Because they are able to play a mix of styles. JD Gaming, Rogue, they're all playing mixes of styles that are enabling them to have different ways of drafting and aiming towards victory. And, I'm going to say something a little controversial. This Cloud9 team, number 1 seed, is quickly becoming more disappointing than the 06 TSM from several years ago. Because at least that TSM team had a tough group. Cloud9 should be able to beat Fnatic. Cloud9 should be able to take games off of EDG, in my opinion. T1 looks very strong, but they have also dropped a game. Cloud9 for me has been incredibly disappointing this Worlds so far. 100 Thieves has been basically the same thing we have gotten every time from them at an international event, which is just absolutely, ho-hum, mid, as the kids say, and not really showing anything exciting. And then EG has actually been the most, exciting NA team. They've actually put up a fight, and they've given a damn in all their games, and you can actually see them trying to win, instead of just rolling over. And so, for me, this has been the most uninspiring performance. And frankly, I was saying, maybe, I forget if I said it at the start of the show or pre-show, but I'm here for the 018. Let's ride. I'm ready to watch it all go down in flames, and that's fully what I'm expecting. Before we move on, do you guys have any reflections on what I just brought to the table?
I will contest the Cloud9 being worse than TSM 0-6.
Mm-hmm. I figured.
Just because I actually think TSM's group was easier than this Cloud9 group.
Reasonable, yeah.
Because that was a Gen G that wasn't like super competitive, like or not Gen G. LGD.
LGD, yeah.
That was not super competitive. It was Fnatic who just, as always, solid at Worlds, right? But like not like a title contender. So theoretically, it's like a North American team should be able to, while maybe not favored, be able to contend with any European team, right? And then the final team was Gen G, actually. Oh, right? I think that for the 2020 World.
I'd have to go back and look.
Either way, that whatever Korean team it was, like obviously was like the quote unquote favorite to take that group, right?
It was
they were
Gen
number
G.
one.
It was Gen G,
Yeah.
Fnatic, LGD.
And I remember that Gen G team, while like predicted like, hey, this will probably be a good team. Like I don't think I ever had heard anyone going, yes, this team's going to win Worlds. I think most people had them as like maybe if they're good, depending on their matchup, which they did get a good matchup because they ran whoever they ran into in quarterfinals and they made semis. But it was like they can maybe get a good matchup and make semis, but they're probably going to get stopped in quarters, and that was pretty much exactly what happened. So that's the only reason I'm contesting you on this, because like I think this particular Cloud9 group is a lot harder than the TSM one. And sorry, TSM fans, I'm also like I just like crapping on you.
Totally. Something
For
really
me,
funny.
oh yeah.
Something really funny about Worlds 2020 is how many of the same teams are here. G2, Damwon, JD Gaming, Rogue, Gen G, Fnatic, Top Esports, DRX. They're all here. Even Machi Esports has had 3 of the 5 players that are now on Flying Oyster in Gemini, Mission, and Koala. So, obviously no, like, EDG. That was the year that Damwon did win. But so many of the same teams made it to Worlds that year that are now in it this year. Anyway, Curly, go ahead.
Yeah, my big thing is I'm going to kind of like take what you said about C9 being disappointing, and I'm going to ride with it for one reason. Before this, I've never really ever comfortably rooted for C9. Like, I put it on the face for MSI last year, but like I wasn't fully invested in it. And more specifically, until I made the NA hype video, I've never praised Jensen. And the worst things I say about Jensen, along with Noxor, the better he plays. And so, Nox, we need to join together and being like, Jensen, you're so mid, bro. You're so mid, bro.
You're not bodying anyone. You're getting bodied.
Like, and I don't want to be that guy to flame him that much, but like ultimately, like I said, like the more I've talked bad on him, the more he's surprised. Like that TL run last year, when I was like, I don't expect anything from Jensen, and he was like the hottest mid laner. I need that. I need that energy. So Jensen, step it up, bro. I'm not seeing what I want to see from you. You made me hype. You made me hype for you, and you made me hype for 2 weeks. Don't take that away. I want to be back in that, but right now, like Jensen, please, come on, man. And then also another thing I think we need to call out is I don't get why we're making Jojo Pian play when he did sustain an injury from an LEC caster. It's kind of like very rude. So that like maybe that's the real reason we're struggling. Imagine if he wasn't playing on an injury.
Speaking of Cloud9, let's actually hit Group A, because I think it's super spicy. So you got Cloud9 at 0-3,
2-1.
and everyone else is 2-1 in this group.
So I'm done being sad here. I'm here for the hypest timeline.
So EDG, so everyone's beaten Cloud9, right? Hilarious. EDG beat Fnatic. Fnatic beat T1. And T1 beat EDG. So we've got the perfect Pokemon fire beats grass beats water beats fire in these 3 teams. The circle is complete. I am actually still looking, though. I am looking at T1 and Fnatic probably to take the 2 spots in this group. Fnatic looks
makes sense
good, and T1 looks incredible. In their 2 wins, I know they did lose. I know they lost. but in their 2 wins, they looked dominant. Absolutely destructive. Faker looks like he is on another level once again. He has stepped it up for Worlds. They look so good. I'm actually legitimately excited about this T1 team. I think they could go far in knockouts if they make it out. Fnatic looks really good. Shout out to Yamato, who is he's getting griefed by the US visa system and cannot be on stage to draft. However, he can be backstage and things like that. I'm not exactly sure how that system is working out, but the team is managing to push through all the adversity that they experienced at the start. Upset initially wasn't there until right before play-ins began. Hillsong didn't start until day 2 of play-ins, both because of COVID issues. And they rolled through Group A. They have beaten, Cloud9, and they took a game off of T1. Very respectable. So I think, is it time to get excited about Fnatic? Curly, you're wearing the Fnatic jersey. So speak to me. How are we feeling about this team right now?
Oh yeah, they're getting out, bro. Like, there's a reason I put it on. Like, if there's any team I'm certain is gonna make it out of Group A, it's wild to me that it's Fnatic, because I think heading into this, I had low expectations for them, considering just kind of how their summer went and how, like, it was like this, bro. They were good. They flopped. They barely made it into playoffs. Immediately went to the lower bracket because of their seeding. Had to climb all the way up, and then didn't show up for Rogue. And so through all these phases of adversity, I do think they've really, really stepped up, and they've like especially under Yamato's leadership, they have shown they can adapt and learn from their defeats. And so all that combined with having to go through play-ins and having a dominant showing, like, we know how to play against other regions, Fnatic is probably the 1 seed in my book. I think, like, my realistic take is they're probably gonna go 3-0 on Friday in terms of, like, how they're looking. Of course, I always forget, is group, I know week 2 Fnatic is a meme, and I don't remember if it's whether they play better or worse. So someone please tell me.
Typically, it's that they've played better, but that's because they've usually had crap week 1s.
Yeah,
they've had a
that's
great
fair.
week 1, so we don't know what's going to happen here.
Right.
So we've never been in this scenario before, so it's all crazy.
And they do play Thursday, so...
Oh, it's Thursday. No,
Uh,
I thought it was Friday.
And
I'm silly.
I will be there live and in person to watch Fnatic go 3-0 and NA go 0-9.
Are you
the
there all
jersey?
4
I can
days
send you
again,
my
Sandy?
other one.
Say what?
Are you there all 4 days?
I am there days 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Woo, buddy, let's
Crazy.
go.
I've got 24 games of League of Legends ahead of me and 9 NA losses to look forward to.
Settle down, settle down.
You're the lucky charm they've been missing. You're going
maybe
to come
that's
in,
it.
and it's going to be a 9-0.
Look, if they go
Just
9-0
wait.
when I'm in the audience, then I will just simply have to say, sorry guys, my fault for not spending another $1,500 on... That's not how much I spent, I promise.
Yeah.
I think at that point, if they go 9-0 while you're there, we will crowdfund you to come down
Yeah.
to
Let's
To Atlanta?
Atlanta and San Fran and wherever you need to go.
Oh yeah, we'll start that Kickstarter, and I'll be at every single stop for the rest of the. Actually, at that point,
Absolutely
I'll just
do
stay
it.
in New York another week for quarterfinals. So we'll see.
Honestly, a good idea.
Might as well.
Good
work
idea.
out. Nox, your thoughts on Group A? I think, and we can also kind of transition this to talking about who we think is going to get out, kind of predicting the rest of group stage. Curly, who do you have getting out alongside Fnatic? I said I have T1 alongside Fnatic. How about you?
So my realistic prediction is honestly, like, I would coin flip between EDG and T1. I don't have a stronger contender there. I think they're going to go even. after their rematch this weekend. But hypest Hopium timeline is somehow C9 3-0s and then Fnatic 2-0s beats T1 and EDG, and then so it's Fnatic 5-1, or rather 4-2, Cloud9 3-3, and then T1 and EDG either have to tiebreak Cloud9 or left in the dust. So like, yeah, that is my preferred timeline. And I think the spiciest. And then also there is the possibility of everyone going 3-3, but we'll see.
Absolutely.
But yeah, realistically, I think it's just a coin flip between EDG and T1.
Sure. Knox, how about you? Thoughts on Group A?
You guys are going to be glad I'm predicting this because I've been very, very wrong a lot of times. But I think it's going to be T1 EDG getting out. Let me explain why. So T1 is looked on fire, and I don't think T1's going to let Fnatic take another game off of them this time around. So there's one lost right there. Free win against Cloud9, whatever. They don't got their shit together. Congrats. 1-1. Now you got this match against EDG. They've already lost once. And Fnatic has typically had a very hard time dealing with Chinese teams. And EDG is no different than that. So I'm predicting EDG to 2-0 here. In which case, then you have to look at how the rest of the group goes for EDG, in which case I don't really see them beating T1, and they should beat Cloud9 again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that should just overall put the record at like T1, EDG, Fnatic, Cloud9.
All right. Well, there you go. So we know that's not how it's going to go because you've
exactly.
been
So you guys are you should be very happy.
So now it's
excellent.
all West out. Let's go.
Totally. I love it. Now that's a feels good, man, if you have ever heard one before. All right. We're going to skip ahead to Group C because we're going to talk about the other thing I wanted to hit on. Rogue. Are they the hope of the West?
Yes, hands down.
They actually look cracked, dude. Like, where did this Rogue come from?
They look absolutely amazing right now. So to just run down Group C, not completed right now, but you've got Rogue at 3-0, DRX at 1-1, about to play GAM, who's at 0-2, and you've got Top Esports at 1-2. Rogue looks so good right now. And I feel like they are the team that everybody should be throwing all their support behind. They basically just need to win
They need like one win.
They need one win, and they
win.
should be able to get out of groups at this point.
In which case, I mean, they're already playing Gigabyte Marines. That's a fairly good chance.
I feel like that's a good shot of getting a dub right there. You know, and they already beat TRX, and they already beat Top Esports. Who says they can't do it again? So I'm really hopeful that Rogue time is finally here. Knox, what do you think about Rogue? And then maybe just some thoughts on Group C overall.
It was like super sus of Rogue coming in to Worlds. I thought the finals they had against G2, it was a 3-0 and it was a convincing 3-0. But for me, it's just, I was like, you did not have this consistency during the summer. Like, you didn't constantly, like, Malrang always looked good, right? But the rest of the team sometimes just wasn't quite there. And then playoffs hits, and they absolutely ran it. And I was like, okay, I mean, maybe. And so I was a little sus. And then they come in, and they are looking like an Eastern team right now. The reaction plays that they have going on, their, like, macro movements, their micro choices, like, it's actually insane how good this team looks. I'm like, where did this come from? Like, even G2 does not look this good.
If you go back and look at some of the coordination in today's game versus Top Esports between Comp and Trimby with the Rakan, the Kalista Rakan, and the way there was one moment where Trimby goes in on with the Rakan ultimate, goes in, does the thing where he knocks everybody up, and then he's about to get blown up. Comp Kalista ults him out, kind of flutters around for a moment, and then sends Trimby back in and knocks them up again. And the synergy and coordination there, I know that's not like a very high level play, but are we going to see that from an NA team sometime this Worlds? I feel like no. So I'll take the coordination where I can get.
Yeah, I think Diamond actually, funnily enough, posted a stat earlier that Trimby's like I think 35-9 all time on Recon.
80% win
that
rate
is
on
bonkers.
Recon. Absolutely crazy.
So yeah, I don't know what it is with his rogue team. I don't know where it came from because even the other LEC teams, like, well, not bad looking, don't look this good. And I'm like, where did this team come from? So I'm hyped for it. I'm rooting for them. I hope they go far. Pretty much only need one win to guarantee quarters. I hope they get two, so that way it's like a guaranteed Western first seed, which I don't even know the last time that even happened. So I think that'd be super hype. And we'll go from there. But I think overall, Group C, Vietnam, unfortunately, has not looked as good as I was hoping they would. They still have that kind of spice to them, but it's not quite the same as what it used to be.
Yeah.
And then
DRX.
who else in the group? I'm like DRX and TES.
Top. Yeah.
DRX has looked amazing, and then Top has looked very sus, which I think we all knew was going to happen, and that's part of the reason why I predicted them to win, because I don't trust them, so therefore they should win, right? That's how that works.
Totally.
So yeah, I think more than anything, this is going to be Rogue, and then somehow, some way, Top is going to get it. I'm not saying that out of copium for my pick'ems or anything. But yeah, I think Rogue should have this in the bag if they continue playing like they're playing. I still don't think they're a favorite. I'm going to put them as a dark horse to win the tournament now. I think because these are probably some of the weaker Chinese and Korean teams that you can play in the group stage right now. They got a quote-unquote relatively easy group. So I think they're kind of just having a field day right now. When they're getting into quarters, that's when they're actually going to get tested.
I don't know what you mean by Top Esports getting out of this group, because clearly it's going to be DRX, Deft, and the boys coming through. It's
Remember,
it's your DRX fanboy coming in. This is fair.
You don't want me predicting your team.
This is fair.
Sure.
So Top Esports all the way, says Nox4. I do say DRX gets out. They'll probably beat GAM tonight. They'll go 2-1, and they'll be in a solid position. Curly, thoughts on Group C? Who else do you have besides Rogue getting out? And any thoughts on Rogue you have yourself?
So for Rogue, I do think part of this might be is like you have a team like Rogue that, and particularly a player like Otowane, where they've just been chasing second, like their trophy for years, consistently coming second or third, like always just out of reach, and they finally do it in showing fashion, and the confidence that instills in a team where it's like we finally achieved our dream and now we can go further. I think it's like something that just they are here. They're like, we know we can do it, and we are going to show you we can do it. It's like the same way of how like G2 when they started taking over the LEC always went in, it's like, all right, now we're gonna go be known as the LC Killers. It's like there's just something about that hypes them up. I also do think I'm a huge fan of jerseys, and they are the only jerseys that are America themed, in my opinion, like with the whole red, white, and blue and stars. And so it's like maybe they got a bit of a jersey buff too. Who's to say? But they are playing out of their minds. I'm all on board the Rogue hype train. If I were to buy a singular EU jersey from Worlds this year, it would be theirs, because not only does it look good, but damn, man, what a team to support. In terms of who's getting out with them, I am going to agree with you in DRX. I think the plan buff is going to keep up and carry them through this. And then I also like GAM's looking rough. Top always been sus. It's just kind of how I'm feeling.
There you go. All right, 2 more groups to hit real fast, and then we'll close out, because I know we're all tired. It's late. Group B, let's hit there. The final NA, not the final NA group. Sorry, we've got 2 more NA groups to hit. Group B, it has finished its week 1 place. You've got JD Gaming at 3-0, looking massive. Damwon picked up their second win. going to 2-1. G2, I will say, looks better, I think, than their 1-2 record would make them seem. I think there's, some legit room for them to maybe squeeze past Dom1 here. And then EG, like I said earlier, has actually looked probably like the best North American team. And in both the Dom1 game and the JD Gaming game, if they had just been able to do a couple more things, I think they would have won those games, and this group would be looking very, very different right now. So, this group, still very interesting. I don't have EG getting out, but I definitely have JD Gaming getting out, and I really would like to see if G2 can squeeze it by. So I'm going to go with the dark horse there, and I'm going to say G2 getting out in second here.
Sorry, still going with all my Eastern groups. I'm going JDG, Damwon.
Yeah.
I will say, for me, this has been the most fun group to watch, partially because EG's actually been putting up a fight.
Mm-hmm.
G2 has put up, outside of the G2 game, I should say. EG did not put up a fight there. But G2 obviously smashed EG, has put up 2 great fights against JDG and Damwon, and then the JDG Damwon game was absolutely probably the best game of Worlds so far, I would have to say. That final fight by Hope was absolutely just bonkers. So I've had the most fun watching this group. Kind of sucks that EG got this one. I actually think if they were in any other group, they might actually stand a bit of a better chance. But as it stands, got to work with what you got. And frankly, this group is just insane. So
imagine if EG was in Group C, bro.
Yeah. Oh, I wish. It is what it is. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm going JDG's going to clean this up in first, and then Damwon's going to wrap it up in second. G2 will do their damnedest to get into second, but I just don't think they're going to be able to pull it off.
Yep. All right, Curly. Close us out on Group B before we hit Group D.
Group B, Huffing Hopium. I do think EG can finally, hopefully, get a single win off of G2 before the end of the year.
It's not going to happen.
Stop! Don't put me down, man. Please, give me this. So we're gonna open up day 3 or day 2 with some day 6. What day is it? We're gonna open up that day. They
6.
are the first match of that day, and that is all I know. And so they are the first match of that day, and we're going to come out kicking. I think EG can also take a game off of Korea like they did at MSI. It's not happening against JDG. So they definitely are not making it out, sadly. As for who's getting out with JDG, it's hard for me to say because Damwon has stepped up more than I would personally like them to, considering my spicy-ass pick'ems. And so it's like I'm gonna have to put my money behind Damwon here though, because G2 not looking as hype as I want them to be, as a Western fan and like just as someone who really put them as potentially getting out of the group. So I'm now putting my vote as JDG first, Damwon second. Really, it's just probably gonna stay how it is right now in terms of standings, but
for sure.
Yeah.
One last thing I'm going to note. Monte Cristo just tweeted, "Great news for Team Liquid's bank account. If Steve bets 500,000 right now on NA going 0-18 at Worlds 2022, then he can make back all the money spent on the League of Legends roster this year." So that is a bet.
7 mil?
7.5 mil.
Wow.
If he just puts down 500K. So,
Gosh.
It's possible. But not very probable. All right. Final group. And I will note, we do have a result. Breaking news. Gen.G did just beat Flying Oyster. So, they improved to 2-1. Oysters down to 1-2. They are some half-baked clams this year. However, that was a dumb joke. Anyway, RNG 3-0, and 100 Thieves. I don't know if there's any 100 Thieves fans in the chat. We usually have one or two. Maybe 100 Talk Pod is here. But I'm sorry.
Actually, I think they went live 15 minutes ago.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. This team is so mid. So disappointing. It's actually incredible how indecisive and outmatched they look on this stage. Between Oyster, Gen G, RNG, they look like they don't even belong here right now. And frankly, it's incredibly disappointing. I mean, but you know, what do you get when you literally do not have a North American player on your team? So it's just frankly, it's just an embarrassing result from this org, from this roster. You know, they really like to put up a lot of fuss and fight about how successful they are, and this is the second year in a row that they've made it to Worlds and absolutely fallen flat on their face. And I do not expect them to get more than one win next week. They might beat Oyster, but, you know, I really don't expect them to do much more than that. In terms of the rest of this group, Gen G does not look as dominant as they did in Korea. They actually kind of struggled to beat Oyster just now.
I would say they've honestly struggled against all three teams.
Yeah. And RNG looks super dominant. Very, very good. Everyone kind of put them down because, LPL 4th seed. Forgetting that this team literally won MSI 5 months ago.
This RNG team is a team that unfortunately ran into their quote-unquote kryptonite of EDG in the playoffs twice.
Yes.
I guarantee you this team makes a much deeper run into playoffs if that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So, I still have RNG first in this group with Gen G second. I don't think that was my initial pick'ems. I think I had that swapped. But right now, it's looking definitely like an RNG Gen G 1-2 to me. I don't think Oyster's got enough, and 100 Thieves clearly doesn't have anything close to what it takes. So that's where I'm at on this team. Gen G, though, looking like a team that could easily get beaten in quarterfinals by enterprising EU team such as Rogue, perhaps. Maybe a Fnatic, if you will. So maybe good things on the horizon for an EU team that manages to get first seed out of groups and draw them. Maybe some interesting things could happen. Curly, coming back to you for Group D. Talk me through your thoughts here. Where are you looking? What teams have surprised? Who do you have coming out?
So to focus in on 100 Thieves is, I've already said my piece, and I'm just gonna try to be nice and supportive here because, like, I think we could go all day about how disappointing it is. To have a bit of hopium with this group, in terms of NA, like their performances last year, they did manage to go 3-3 in their group, and they did manage to get a game off of the inevitable tournament winner. And because it is the same roster, that means somewhere inside of them they have the ability to take down teams that are supposed to be performing better in them. And then I think the real thing that kind of tripped them up is losing to CFO the first day. Is if they do win that game, they have an identical record to last year. And maybe they're able to bounce back from it. Or maybe they're able to start off on a good footing and then play better the next couple of days. Who's to say? Because I do think the mental game is a huge part of where they're probably actually just struggling. Because they've had a lot of repeat history of not, like I said, that limited success on stage. So hopefully they show up. Not going to make it out, though. It is still going to be RNG and Gen G getting out in that respective order. RNG is just on a tear. And they're going to keep going on that tear. And so it's probably going to end 6-0. In fact, yeah, I think them and JDG are probably going to be like the only might be the only team. No, I don't know. It's hard to say. But they're probably going to get out 6-0, and then Gen G will just be right at their heels. Not much more to talk about with this one, if I'm going to be honest.
Fair enough. Nox, how about you?
This 100 Thieves team will not be the same next year is all I'll have to say. Yeah, it will be RNG 6-0, Gen G probably 4-2, and then whatever happens between CFO and 100 Thieves is whatever happens. I don't know. It just sucks watching this 100 Thieves team because for me, they are my second favorite team behind FlyQuest. I like watching them, but this clearly is not working. So I'll be curious to see what the org has in store for next year.
Yeah, and I do recognize I am flaming 100 Thieves a little bit, but it's just, for me, it's disappointing to see. I think my frustration stems from seeing this team perform poorly at Worlds last year. Someone's got like a train going on in the background or something.
I think that would be Curly.
Seeing this team perform poorly at Worlds last year, and then you would think that after another full year, there would be some level of improvement enough to be more competitive. But so far, they have managed to look even worse. And that's my frustration with this roster and with this team, is that they have somehow managed to survive out of NA, but regress internationally. So that's my final thought on it. Nox, did you gave your thoughts on Group D? I think we've hit all the groups now.
Yeah.
All right. Last question for you guys. We've had 3 games for each team in groups. Who was your crystal ball pick to win, and who do you have now if you had the chance to redo it?
I said top esports.
Oh yeah.
Just because I don't trust them. I've told this story a billion times, but like quick recap, I did not trust EDG at all last year, and I kept saying they're going to drop out in groups or in quarters, and then they went on to win the whole damn thing. So I decided this year I'm going to pick the team that I do not trust to win the whole thing, and I said, oh, that is top esports. I don't trust them, so I'm going to say they're going to win the whole thing. And you know what? I still don't trust them, so therefore I'm still going to stick with it.
There you go. Curly.
Yep. JDG haven't shown me any reason to switch up, so I'm going to ride them all the way to finals, baby, and see who they get to face.
Totally. I also had JDG in my crystal ball, and I still like JDG. They look good. I think they are very much a legitimate threat. I would not change that pick at this time.
You want my spicy prediction for who their opponent's going to be, depending on the bracket fall?
Are you going to say Rogue?
Absolutely.
See?
And honestly, I think that is the thing I would want to see most right now.
We've been working together long enough that I know, so I can sometimes tell exactly where that wonderful brain is going.
Oh, yeah.
And JDG versus Rogue in the finals, I'm here for it. Bring it on, Chase Center. Let's see it happen. What a finals that would be. All right. Do you guys have any final topics or things you want to hit on before we wrap up for the night?
See, I believe there was
Go Go work, Roy. Sorry.
Nah, my thing's not league related, so go ahead.
Oh, I really hope North America doesn't go 0-18. There's going to be so many repercussions if that happens down the line, and it just, I don't want to think about it. So I really, really hope that the guys figure out what the hell's going on, what's wrong, just play their own style, like we normally do. Like now that they eliminated, like I don't even care. Just pick up some wins, please.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Curly, how about you?
I mean, before to have a bit more of a comforting take is, look, NA is a region that has only known trouble when it comes internationally. This is something we are used to. We are the major region that no one ever expects anything from, and so it's almost, people always consider us more of a minor region. And so our favorite thing to do is to take a step back and then sucker punch them right from below when we best can. And so even if we don't get out of groups, I do believe in the ability for week 2 to just be a lot spicier. I think the next couple days, coaches, the teams, everyone's just going to take a step back and be like, all right, what do we need to do to get these wins? And I think we are going to step up. And I think that rather than go all doomer mode and hope for the 018, Sandy, is we all need to put our faith behind them the best we can, and just, even if it's blind faith, just give them the support. Because one thing you'll notice is Chinese fans are very present at the Hulu Theater, and Chinese teams are doing very well for themselves right now. And so it's not a good science of fans equals wins, but damn does it help.
Mm-hmm.
So put your trust behind them and root for your NA representatives and shout that NA pride to the wall. That's my take on that.
There you go.
Now, switching over to FlyQuest related news real quick. I do believe J-Muck was in a doubles tournament. Ended a bit low, only 7th place, which is lower than he was hoping to. But as always, have faith in our Smash players to bounce back. They've shown the potentials they have, the heights they can reach, and so don't let one lower performance hold you back, guys. You got this.
There you go. All right. That is all we've got. I will preview a topic that I just thought of for next week, because I want to. It depends. I'll bring this topic up depending on how week 2 goes. But at what point do we start discussing cutting a seed for NA at Worlds and going down to 2? So think on that. Let that one marinate.
Could probably give you the math on it, but I couldn't do it off the top of my head right now.
Totally. So maybe we'll let that one sit, but I think it's an interesting discussion, so we'll revisit that next week. In the meantime, thank you everybody who tuned into tonight's episode of Flight Check. Worlds continues. It's actually still going on right now. You can turn off our stream and go watch DRX probably beat Gigabyte Marines. That's what I'll be doing. While having 100 Talk Pod on. All at the same time. What an incredible combo that you can ensure for yourself. And Worlds Week 2 is Thursday at 3 o'clock, going through Sunday. I will be there for all 4 days of Groups Week 2. So if you will be there and you see me, please come say hi. In the meantime, if you're not going to be there, you can still check all of our thoughts and reactions on Twitter. So the show at Flight Check Crew. Been doing a few polls there and posting our pick'ems and so forth. Myself at SantosDB. Nox at NoxWar with 2 R's. And Curly at Curly_QQ_. Make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well, where all kinds of esports discussion and otherwise takes place. Curly, well, shoot, was it Curly or Nox? One of you set up a new channel Hashtag
Curly.
It was me. Yes.
roster rumble, where
Yeah.
people have been putting together their ideas for FlyQuest rosters and other teams' rosters for next year already. And Worlds hasn't even ended, but the offseason speculation and rumors have already gone rampant. Where will Tactical land? I saw plenty of interesting thoughts today on that one. So go join the Discord if you want to talk about offseason and rosters. And if you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. If you're watching that and would like to catch the show live, we broadcast the episode usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We've been doing 9 p.m. last couple nights, but I think last couple weeks. Next week should be back to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Knox, any final shoutouts, plugs, or notes before we wrap up?
Longtime NA fan, doesn't matter. I will always continue to support this region. This
Absolutely.
is what I've supported from the very beginning since season 2 when I started watching. And even if we go 0-18, stop cheering. So I will always be there, even if I'm crying a little bit.
Absolutely. Alrighty, Curly, how about you? Shoutouts and plugs, please.
Shout out to the fact that FlyQuest could beat a flying oyster. No, but honestly, no. I want to give my shout out to particularly David Shynock. I've mentioned him before on the show before, but he's I'd say a recent pillar of the NA community on Twitter and TikTok and all that stuff. And so him and also the hashtag NAMen podcast and anyone tied to all that stuff, shout out to them, because these are a group of people that through thick and thin are supporting NA like I just said we should do. And so they are, I think, people we should idolize. So all of them, including in that hashtag NAMen podcast, I believe is Edgy Hoon, which is a frequent chat member. You'll see her in OE Discord, in our Discord and all that stuff. She was at play-ins and all that stuff. So like, just shout out to that bubble of NA fans, because you guys are what fans should be, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. All right, my shout out is going to DRX, who are up against Gigabyte Marines right now. Piosik just picked Kindred. And you know what? The fact about Piosik is that means mark in Korean, a reference to the marks that Kindred collects. The man is literally playing his namesake right now. Let's go, DRX. They are my team. Oh, man, I hope I can buy a DRX jersey at Worlds. That would be absolutely fantastic. They are my shout-out. Piosik is my plug. Hoping for great results from them in the next 45 minutes. That is all that we have tonight. We will be back next week to talk about the end of groups and discuss quarterfinals and those upcoming matchups. So, for now, stay safe out there. Don't forget to hit the head on the nail, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios! As I whack the camera.
Peace, y'all.